Hi everyone, welcome to our special webinar today about the Master in Finance. I'm Mathilde from the admission team at IOM, and I'm pleased to introduce Professor Gregory Moscato, Director of the program, and Mr. Clement Gauthier, who will be teaching real estate investment funds and portfolio strategies starting next year. Hello to the both of you.
Hello, nice to be with you guys.
Hello everyone.
So today is quite a unique event since we are not doing a classic webinar as we are doing usually, but a presentation of our newest specialization in real estate management and financing. So during the event, you can use the Q&A session to ask all of your questions that we will answer during the webinar. For this special webinar, we have collected the mostly asked questions concerning this new specialization. But before starting, I will quickly remind you what is the structure of the program. So the Master in Finance is a 16-month program divided in 3 semesters. The first one, the fall semester, is 4 months of core modules dedicated to 2 types of pillars, the corporate finance and market finance. Then the second semester, you dive into your specialization with still common modules for all the students about the financial industry and advanced financial markets, but you will also have 4 courses dedicated to real estate management and financing. You will then end your master with a 6-month capstone project. So now we can start about the question, and maybe Gregory, Clement, you could give us a short overview of what the course included in the specialization are. A little overview.
Right, thank you very much, Mathilde. Or maybe I'll take this initial part. I mean, as a broad perspective, this real estate program really wants to allow students to be exposed to, I guess, the full spectrum of what real estate has to offer, in particular from the financing perspective and the investment perspective. And so we have 4 different courses. The first one is, I would say, probably the most foundational one on real estate markets, but also on the analytics that we use for that specific asset class. Then we have a course which is more focused on development of new projects and project finance. So we're both, I mean, literally starting from ground zero to the full workable building or commercial real estate that comes out from the ground. Then we have a third course that is focused particularly on the debt side, the financing side, the pure financing side of real estate. So it's called real estate underwriting and restructuring, and where we are going to, of course, look at a number of specific dimensions of the different type of loans, how they're being used, of course, and all the issues that comes out of them. And last but not least, the course that is in fact probably covered by Clement here, is dedicated to the investment side. So from the investor side, so what are the investment vehicles, what are the type of funds, and other trust and then of course, what are the portfolio strategies that are going to be linked to it. Maybe, in fact, Clement, you could say a word about that last section.
Yes, obviously. I mean, that course will be what you actually put the real estate into. So the investment vehicles are crucial, and it's something it's very difficult to fix once it's actually set. So you need to make sure that actually you understand in which jurisdiction actually you're dealing with. It's not only about tax, but also about local regulation, about real estate development, the project itself. And when you think about investment vehicles, you have to think also about the investor side. So you have to think about all documentation that needs to be put in place. So from the investor point of view, what could secure the investors to be interested in the project? From the distribution of the proceeds from the investment side from the start, is it transparent? Is it actually clear enough? You're looking at regulated vehicles and unregulated vehicles. You can even look at listed vehicles as well, which is quite trendy at the moment. So we're going to look at this in depth. So basically give all the tools What will be interesting, because it's my specialty as well, because I'm in Luxembourg, it's about offering a certain set of toolbox of tools that actually will be useful to use to tap into what's the most appropriate vehicle for your project or bulk of projects. So there's all sorts of vehicles available, from debt structuring you mentioned in the course before, into bond issuance, can be regulated funds, listed fund, trust. The possibilities are quite immense. So I'm very excited to teach that class.
Thank you. One of the questions that we get from the students is what are the type of technical skills and tools that the student will develop in this specific specialization?
Do you want to provide some ideas, Clement, and I will complement it if needed?
Yeah, so the technical skills will be, but you're going to learn during the 4 courses. The technical skills will be that you need is basically understanding a bit financial, on the financial side, because it's Master of Finance here, or the financial modeling is crucial in real estate. So it will be to understand the cash flow monitoring, the cash flow statements, to do cash flow forecasting, to do cost structuring. We could call it feasibility study as well. It's a very big part in real estate development. So it's a master table with a bunch of calculation of how you manage actually the project from A to Z in terms of cost monitoring and actually how you use investors' money if you're actually pulling a fund. So I would say the tools will be on the class will be, it's quite in real estate surprising, but we still use a lot Excel. So it's actually, and I know in Master of Finance, you most likely are very, very well and talented in that. So it will be very useful and very good to use that, because it's a very powerful tool. It's very transparent. All sorts of portfolio tools exist online, portfolio solutions and online solutions, but that we'll see down the line, obviously.
All right. And just to complement it as well, of course, like everything, I mean, beyond just the cost components and the feasibility, there's also the comparative analysis, in particular, market analysis on the one hand, but also on the profitability side, right? Trying to, of course, optimize the various financing in order to also optimize both the risks, the management of the risk on one side, and ideally also optimizing the rate of return you're able to generate for your investors. Yeah, in a nutshell, probably we'll also have plenty of other skills, in particular non-technical skills, because of course the soft side of things is once you've put the analytical side behind you and you've done your job, then you still need to go and meet the investors and convince them that this is the right product and investment for them.
At IUM, we talk a lot about experiential learning. So what would you say will be the opportunities in this specialization for practical application, like study case, project with industry partners, company visits, etc.? Maybe field trip?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very legitimate question here. Let's start with the obvious one. I mean, we are bringing as professors some top professionals to begin with, which are bringing real life experience, but also real case studies. So typically for them, all the case studies that we present are cases that have been implemented, right? So a lot of those cases sometimes are very recent. I mean, in particular on the analytical part and the project development part, they are already recently completed projects that have been done. So we go back and analyze how they were structured to begin with, the issues faced, and well, the outcomes and everything. A second dimension, of course, of that experiential learning is also by having the possibility to meet a variety of professionals. And we're pretty fortunate to be in Monaco, because Monaco itself has a pretty in-depth, I would say, real estate market, which is a bit unusual market from that perspective. So we will also go and meet some of those top builders, some of those financiers behind the huge buildings and the islands that you see in Monaco. And we will also something that will be still as part of it, but we will also look at different geographies. So we will not only, of course, use Monaco as one example of what can be done, but we will also expose students to, for example, big markets, some German markets, some UK, France, but also, and obviously the US markets, which is one of the biggest worldwide, if not the biggest worldwide.
Thank you. And would you say that the student will have access to guest speakers? I believe you said so, but networking session and real estate professional, etc.
Of course. I mean, you have to realize that this specialization is still part of the Masters in Finance at IOM. And one of the things we pride ourselves during that Masters is to offer that ability to have deep network and develop your network as you study. This is obviously true for this specialization as well. One of the key advantages we have is to have a variety of professionals which are right there in Monaco, which we invite, either sometimes through, I would say, very informal gathering, like networking cocktail parties, sometimes in a very formal setting, like the business days, where we invite them officially on site, make presentation, also do speed business dating with students. So we go after a variety of different ways for students to go and meet those professionals, plus the guest lectures.
Thank you. Now going more into the student profile, and I can see that we have a question about that. What kind of academic background is ideal for applicants interested in this specific track?
Well, I have my own opinion. I'd be curious to see what Clement thinks, right? What do you think is a good profile for someone who would like to really dive into the financial side of the real estate world?
But I think if you're coming to Monaco to do a Master of Finance, is basically, yes, you want to obviously do a focus in finance itself, and in a very good program. So it basically, what you want to do in this focus in real estate is, the background to me will be that somebody who's actually a keen interest in obviously in real estate itself. So has actually somebody knows that work in real estate, somebody actually has been in touch with, let's say, on the brokerage side, investor side, and the banking side. So somebody has one of these, I would say, background. And in terms of pure, I would say, where the applicants will come from, like myself, for example, I came from business administration, pretty broad, but basically got really interested into the real estate side. And real estate is a very vast universe. So academic background can be, somebody who is actually coming from the business administration, not only on a pure finance side from the get-go, but basically also on the business side, because real estate is a people industry. So it's you're doing projects, you're doing buildings, but also all linked to people, because people are like servicing. You meet them at the bank, at the construction company, at the insurance company. Your investors are people. So it's also like have this sense of, I would say, socializing, being somebody who's a bit socializing, and a capacity to actually interact with people. So it can be quite broad, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, when we look at the type of profiles for the Masters in Finance in general, already to our surprises, we see a big variety of profiles. Yeah. Do you have a competitive advantage by coming from a financial background? Probably. If you have already an exposure to real estate, that is already an existing taste for real estate, this is obviously a massive plus. But we also have, for example, students that come from different backgrounds. I'm thinking about engineering background who are transitioning to finance. This potentially can be also great because they also have the ability, I mean, depending what type of engineering they've done, but some of them may have also a better understanding of some of the technical dimensions of the real estate itself, and therefore have a natural, I guess, more appetency and capacity in also doing some of those feasibility analysis, etc. So, for example, you have those who may take a different angle, I'm thinking about those with a law degree, where with a law degree, I mean, you're going to have to muscle up on your finance as well, obviously, but you may also want to tackle some of the dimensions, for example, on the fund side and the issues, from a regulatory point of view, that the investors and maybe those who are structuring those funds will face. So I would say there's quite a lot of different backgrounds I could imagine that would be a good fit. You still needs to be motivated to learn your finance, because remember, in the end, you're still doing a master's in finance with a specialization. So if you don't like finance, well, that's it's not for you. Right? It's more like that.
Well, then jumping on to the next question is, what skills or personal qualities will help students succeed in the Master in Finance?
Then I'd like to say that there are no ideal candidates, right? And there's no ideal set of skills. And I do believe that that is the case. Yet, once we said that, there are still some commonalities which make a difference, right? And I think it's a bit less about the initial technical skill set, which can be learned actually, and where we provide, and I think a rather solid, a solid, I would say, overall grasp of that technical dimension, right? The master's of finance is pretty demanding from that perspective. So probably the skills I would expect in a very good candidate would be a bit different. I would look more on the personality side. I mean, obviously, you need a fair amount of drive and self commitments to wanting to do something that is demanding, again, because then it's a competitive environment. So you need to be good at it, right? So if you like it and if you're driven by it, that is a definite must. Being curious is a fundamental skill that is massively underrated, because it will lead you to ask yourself the difficult question. It will lead you to dig behind the surface, to go and see problems where others see only like a beautiful solution, right? And then you realize, no, there's more to it, and we need to actually address it. And so this is very important. I think also a fair amount, specifically for our program, a fair amount of open-mindedness, I like to say, is very required. You're going to be literally surrounded with students coming from all over the world, doing, in fact, during the masters, very different things with different focus. And I suspect even with those who go in the track in real estate with slightly different objectives about what you want to achieve or what angle you want, maybe some will want to focus almost exclusively on the residential side. Others have maybe a more vision of the development of commercial buildings and stuff like that. And this is fine, right? But this open-mindedness helps you both to open yourself to others, to also realize there are many, many things you could be doing. So this will also allow you to use better your networking while you are in Monaco, to open doors, to think about different futures than the ones potentially you had initially imagined to begin with when you applied, for example. I would say that these are three good skills. Would you imagine something else, Clement? Maybe something I'm not thinking about that you would find can be good?
In my career, I've seen like successful people in actually that actually do well in real estate, irrespective of from being an architect, an engineer, developer, an investor. It's related to people, how you interact with people. So you have to have the ability also to work in teams. It's very important that you see yourself. Real estate are not built by one person, and they're not financed by one person. So it's actually it has to be people to actually work in team, leading team, or just being a good team player. So this personal skill to be social, like you mentioned, curious. It's very, very important because somebody curious will actually will not have the technical background of an engineer, but maybe he was on the investor side. But because he or she is curious, will actually ask the question, how do you do your job? How is it done? So it will help to actually derive where are the blockade, the difficulties to help a project to reach the next level or its objective. So it feels like being able to go beyond what actually is your zone of comfort as well. So really to, like you say, knock on doors, network. Networking is a very underrated skill in real estate. People are actually doing a bit too late. So the earlier you do it in your career, even in your studies, you try to network with your peers, keep contact, build a good quality network is very important. So those I would say on top, yeah.
I'm seeing we have quite a lot of questions that have arrived, so maybe we should also continue to address them.
So there is one that is concerning the profile of the student. So does that mean that after studying computer engineering, but being into finance and marketing can allow us to study this course?
Alors, in itself, it won't stop you, yes. What I would ask myself if I were you, though, is what's the logic of that shift? What do I want to do? And I don't mean it to be negative. I just mean really think about how you can use that background of yours. I give you an example. Last year, we had a student. So we didn't have yet the specialization in place, but he was really into real estate, right? But he chose the hedge fund track at the time, etc. And he had a fair amount of programming skills like yourself. And what he did behind it, instead of doing an internship because he had a fair amount of experience to begin with, he went on and built his own solution, which is an online type of solutions in the US for real estate in the US. And he launched literally his own company with an innovative ways to go after renovation of bankrupt companies and stuff like that, and identification and creating a market for them. And his launches operation is now doing this. So yes, absolutely, you could do that. You need to really think about what you want to do in it and how you personally you can leverage on your existing skills to that end.
Thank you. And now we have a question about the second year in London. So I might give a quick explanation about the program. So basically, the finance program, as I mentioned, is a 16-month program. All students will follow the same courses during the first semester, but then second semester, you choose a specialization. One of them is the private equity and investment banking, which will lead to a 24-month program with 4 months of studies in London. So if you're choosing private equity and investment banking, you will get to go to London. If you're choosing one of the other specializations, including real estate management and financing, it will be only, I would say, 16 months, 10 months of studies in Monaco and 6 months of capstone projects. Right. I hope that clears up a little.
Yeah, we do a bit of field study. So we still go around and visit some other financial centers, in fact. Yep.
Now we have a question about the role that you can get after this master. So what can be the role you can get, leading people into investment, or also other things dealing with banks and businesses? What kind of job offer can we go for?
What do you think, Clement? What would they be able to do?
I think it's based on the current market conditions and what actually is projected, what's come next. I would say after such program, you graduate, you can actually apply for jobs in private equity firms that specialize in real estate. This is a strong in an investor side. It's very interesting. You have a bunch of structuring to do, a bunch of actually interaction with the investors. This is quite interesting. You can also, the classics investment banks are still in need of real estate professionals. So I would say this is actually on the analyst side because they will make you start maybe on the analyst or associate side, and then you make your way up. This is a very good channel to actually go up. So the classic US banks, obviously the big ones, but also a lot of European banks as well do it, and Swiss banks are actually keen on recruiting people with specialization in real estate. Of course, independent investment firms are also very attractive, independent investment funds as well. platforms are actually very interesting to apply to. Also on the earlier positions, but also because of their smaller structure, you have the capacity to go higher faster. So this I've seen many times. The upward way is much faster than big institutions. So you have companies like Brookfields, for example, are very, very keen on attracting young talents and keeping them for the long term. You have funds as well. I mean, a lot of them in Luxembourg, fund platforms that actually do a lot of real estate on the investment side, on all sides, commercial, office, hotel, land banking. It's very, very broad. So yeah, I would say these are the typical paths that I've seen.
All right, thank you very much. And let's not forget, for those with probably a bit experience, you may also have some family offices, which may be also looking for a bit more experienced professionals to help them do their own acquisitions of real estate and investments in real estate. So, and Monaco has a lot of them, so that can be also an avenue.
Now we have a question from Donatien, who's a current student in the bachelor at IUM, saying that he's doing a real estate internship in New York and have some M&A modeling experience. How does the financial fundamentals and modeling look like in this sector compared to the wealth management and private banking, for instance?
Well, compared to the wealth management and private banking, I think we're going into very different perspectives. I mean, on the wealth management and private banking, you're going to focusing much more on portfolio optimization, on the advising of the clients, so taking into account their specific needs to then devise specific portfolios well adapted with proper asset allocation and risk management. And even on the real estate components of their investments, the typical analysis will be made at the fund level, therefore on the performance versus risk of the fund level. And maybe if they do a bit of private equity real estate, it may go a little bit deeper there, but more again on the fund characteristics and performance. They will typically not start to dive on what the fund does on a deal by deal basis. While on the real estate track, a bit more like the private equity and the investment banking track, the type of analysis is going to be much more related to corporate finance and the skills that goes into so cash flow projection, discounting cash flows, also using cap rates and all type of typical analysis. So I would say it feels a bit more on the transactional side versus the pure market finance that you will find on the private banking and wealth management.
And now we are diving into the last question. So before I forget, in the chat, you will see my email address. So if you have any question after the webinar or about admission or anything, feel free to contact me. Now, maybe more Gregory, but Clement might be able to add something on it. How would you say that the school will support the student in finding an internship or a job?
Okay. We do support a lot, I would say. Why? Because we have a variety of things in place, but we do have a career center. So it starts with right from the beginning of the year, that career center, you're going to have like dedicated staff that follow you, that do a variety of seminars. They invite coaches, like including career coaches, for example. On top of that, we also have the career center also organizes events, so where they invite and bring professionals on campus to meet you and talk to you. They also receive offers from companies, including real estate companies and including funds dedicated to real estate, etc., and looking for young interns, for example. And they, of course, share it with you guys. And every week, they are publishing the latest offers that come to the Career Center. We organize also very formal events, like the business days, right? So where we invite on campus literally dozens of different companies, including real estate companies or investment funds, or even on the more asset management side, asset management companies with a real estate component. And where you get to see the presentations, but also you get to interact with them on a one-on-one, and we're doing a speed business dating, type of things. And then what else do we do? Then you have conferences as well. And those conferences where we get invited, so we transfer some of those invitations to students, but allowing students to attend some of those professional real estate conferences, for example, in Monaco, and allowing you, therefore, to see it firsthand, what the issues are, what the professionals are talking together, and then meeting some of them, putting forward your profile, and then trying to find what's the best way. More generally, I like to also say that as a spirit, that the whole program is geared toward helping you think about the next step, right? Everything we do, including in what we teach, is focused on practical application, is focused to deliver to you transferable skills that you will be able to use and that are matching professional expectations, right? So by the time you go and you go in your interviews, of course, you have the right skills, you understand the employer as well and their expectation, and therefore you're able to play your card and have great interviews, therefore, and maximizing your chance to be hired in this manner.
Thank you, Gregory. We have two last questions. Would you say that there is business in Monaco more in need and investing on IUM students with this master, or is it difficult to enter the Monaco's network?
Alors, there's two things. Entering the Monaco network, I would say, because of the way IUM is positioned, first, we're the only higher education institution in Monaco, which helps us a lot to have those direct contacts with both financial institutions and real estate companies. So entering the network, I would say, is not necessarily the issue. If anything, compared to other large cities, I find that the network is at arm's length. And we have I would say a very fair extended network just in Monaco. So I would say getting in is not the issue. What you do with it and how you position yourself is something else, right? So this is also why we have even coaches on how to network and things like that, to help you also think about how should you go about it and how should you try to leverage on that network for your next step in an intelligent manner.
Thank you. Now, can you do your internship only in Monaco, or can you do it anywhere else in the world?
You're totally free to do your internships wherever you want. The most important part is go after the best opportunities. And if you have to cross the world to get it, go there. You're too young to cut yourself from those opportunities, of course.
Yeah.
We have one last question that came in that is not about the real estate management and financing, but we can still answer it.
Sure.
In private banking and wealth management, what is the proportion of assessment based on exam versus project and case studies? And also, is there any interaction with professional tools or platform used in wealth management like Bloomberg, for example?
Yep. It's a good question, in fact. It's not about real estate, but it's okay. It's a very good one. Alors, the exact proportion, I don't exactly know because it changes by course, but I would say there's a fair amount of balance between projects and exams. No matter what, exams do not count more than 60% of your grade, but even you have courses where the final examination is not in the form of an exam, but of a delivery of a final product that you've worked on, and typically that you have to then present either in front of a jury or to the professors. On the wealth management track in particular, when I think you have courses, I'm thinking for them, the class on client relationship management is almost pure project-based. Like on a weekly basis, you have to create portfolios and you have to pitch those portfolios to a theoretical investor. So you're being given an investor profile with a mandate, with something, and then the following week, or the following 2 weeks, you have to come up with, this is my solution, and this is why I think this is great, and you have to pitch it like you would do it as if you were an investment banker, right? And so it's quite realistic. Same thing we've done some revamp on the asset management for practitioners course, which I find is particularly exciting. It's quite hands-on. I mean, overall, it's very, very hands-on. Even courses like wealth management, it's not just about the assessment, it's even the structure of the course makes you discover all type of asset classes, products, funds, and how to combine them. And it's really interesting. And I'm not even talking about wealth engineering, but okay, if I'm getting there. So that was the first part of the question of the proportions, quite a fair amount on projects and like that, both individual and collective projects at times, which creates its own challenges, as you can imagine, and working with others, not so easy. Do we use professional tools? Absolutely. We're using Refinitiv. All students have a Refinitiv account that they can use and that they use for their projects. So if you're doing some programming, we also use and teach you how to use your Python skills to go and fetch data and stuff like that in the Refinitiv database. Yep.
Thank you, Gregory. The last question is about financial help or divided payment. So maybe I can go quickly over the application process and the scholarship that we offer. So to apply to the program, you need to visit our website and click on the Apply Online button. And there you will need to give us basic information about yourself and upload the required document. The most important one will be your transcript. So if you are still studying your bachelor, we understand that might be possible. So you will need to provide us the first and second year transcript of your bachelor degree, the third one, and the diploma if you already have it. Then we need a letter of motivation written in English, of course, as well as a CV or resume in English as well and updated. We will need a passport photocopy, a picture of yourself for recognition. Then you will see that we will also ask for test of English, either IELTS, TOEFL, or Cambridge. This is because all classes will be taught in English, so we want to make sure that you have the right level to follow classes and interact with the other students. Lastly, you will also be asked to add a recommendation letter, which is not mandatory, but a big plus in your application. Once we have received all the documents, we will get back to you within 48 hours, and we will quickly set a motivational interview. And after that, you usually get the answer from us within 1 week. So the process is quite fast. Now, concerning financial help, you can apply to a merit-based scholarship from IUM only once you've been admitted to the program. So that cannot be done before applying. And this scholarship can cover a maximum of 15% of the tuition fees. I will send the link in the chat so you can have all the information you need about this scholarship. Also, someone asked about divided payments. So you have two options, either to pay everything at once, either to pay in different installments, and that can be discussed with our accounting service. Gregory, Clement, thank you very much. If you have anything to add, it's time because we answered all the questions.
Oh, I know, but I thought it was a nice first introduction to this program. What I'd like to add is I'm, of course, quite excited about this program because we think there's a huge potential, not just for the Monegasque market, but real estate is probably one of the largest asset class out there. So great way for you, in particular, if you want to project yourself on international careers, real estate is probably a great choice.
Yep. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. Thank you for the both of you for this really interesting session. I would just like to remind everyone that we have our last open day of the year on the 11th of April. So if you're around Monaco or planning to visit, that might be the right time to do so and to come visit the school, meet students, meet the admission team and our program director as well.
All right, it was a pleasure, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it and hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.